Hi everyone, Phil again. Just going to give you a quick rundown on what's been going on in the brewery. So, yeah, we've had the brew kit in here now probably for about a month. Things have been progressing well. Obviously, Elliot's filled everyone in on what's been going on. We are 99% there with all the approvals that we need to do. We're just working on the trade effluent consent at the moment. Everything else is looking really good. So we are close to being able to get this brewery open. When I say that, there is still a fair bit that needs to be done in the brewery. It looks like there is more to be done than there is. Where we're at the moment is I am just working on getting electric where it needs to be. So we have 4 elements and 3 pumps that need power supply. I'm just working on now using the bits that we have got from Delphic and making them work here. So I'm going to again grab this and turn around, and we are going to have a brief look at what I have been up to. We had a control panel that came with the Delphic brew kit with a load of cable attached to it. We decided that obviously because we didn't build that, and opening it up on the inside, I was just what the fuck basically. So yeah, sorry Tom, but we are not going to be using that. We are going to make our own system. So I've been cutting the cable up and starting to run it round in the shipping container. Now obviously we're in a big metal box. It is not the list of things to work with in terms of securing things to the walls and ceiling and things like that. You've only got a single skin of the walls, so whilst you can and the ceiling, so whilst you can could screw into all of it, you're then obviously compromising the integrity of the container and could end up with leaks and all sorts of things if you don't seal it up. So I've been trying to avoid that wherever possible by finding other methods. So we've been using a lot of CT1, which is an industrial sealant and what does it say on there? Adhesive. That's the word I was looking for. Adhesive. Sticky shit, basically. So yeah, I've been using bits of, you can just see here, bits of battening that we have used have been stuck up with CT1, and it's super strong stuff. That's not coming down. I can pretty much, that these bits of wood that we've put up here temporarily for the lights, they're stuck up with CT1, and I can hang off of those. So yeah, it's strong stuff. It's not going to go anywhere. So that's really good. And the cables here, I'm just starting to run round. So obviously, been marking off what they are and where they're going to. So that's going to go to a 3 kilowatt element. This cable here, and just running it round, trying to maintain air gaps and gaps between the cables to allow for heat and what have you. But we should be all right with this sort of size cable anyway. The heat from the roof of the container, at the bit of concern, especially with the sort of temperatures that we've been having. The cable at the very top just here was getting really hot last week, so I may have to move that one just down a little bit, but I've been trying to make the most of the space. We've got obviously very little space here, so trying to keep everything tucked up and out the way has been like a main priority. So we're getting there with it. I'm getting there with it. I only managed to do a couple of days last week due to the heat, but also getting ready for we had our busiest weekend of the year with the Portcullis tap house, because we have Portchester Gala, like a big local fete basically, and that took up a lot of time trying to get everything ready for that last week, and the heat in here was pretty high, with getting up to 30 degree heat. Outside, the shipping container was probably pushing near 40. I think we got up to about 36 tops in here, which, I mean, I was worrying that we were going to start hitting 40 before we even started the project. One of our main concerns is how hot is it going to get in here? You know, where are we going to have to insulate? All sorts of questions that we had, and that was part of why we started to go round, and we visited 40 Foot Brewing up in London, who operate out of shipping containers, and noticed that there wasn't any lagging anywhere in their shipping containers. Not entirely sure about their sun position and about how much sun those containers actually got up at 40 foot. I think they're pretty well shaded where they are, but it's initially my plans for in here is we were going to line the walls, and then the ceiling, like a 50mm Celotex, probably 25mm Celotex would have done, and then line over the outside, and we would actually lose space by putting the lagging on the insulation on the inside. So that's when we came up with the idea of the outside. So I'll just briefly take you outside of what we've done outside. So if I walk a bit further back, you can see what we've got. Paint the doors white. That helps take a little bit of the heat away. This wall here with the cladding on used to get ridiculously hot, as hot as the roof does. The sun, when it comes in and it hits the container in the afternoon, and it hit it all afternoon, and it's obviously get pretty relentless with the heat. Adding the cladding to the side has made an absolutely huge difference. It's taken it from being an oven in there to being bearable. Once you get the doors open, the temperature really drops down to, there's not really a lot of difference between the inside and outside because we can obviously open both the double doors down here, and I've also added a little UPVC window here, just to create a sort of airflow through the shipping container, and it works brilliantly. It's great. That was a pain of a job. That took me a day to do. It was a pain of a job because the back of the shipping container, as you can see, is really dented and out of shape. So nothing's really square there. So I basically made a really basic frame that the wood almost pulls the container back into shape. But it seems to be sealed, and we haven't had any water coming in when it's been raining recently, so that seems to have worked really well. So the heat problems, I think we're not had too much about it. We've got one other job that I don't think we will need to do it this year. We're going to be sort of like, temperature's going to be starting to die down soon, but we'll do it if needs be. I've got these solar panels. This was these were free, believe it or not. We managed to get these from had to go and pick them up, but one of our lovely customers came through for us when I was talking about heat solutions and putting something on the roof just to sort of direct the heat away. And the beauty of that is that we can actually use those as to supply the power to the shipping container eventually. We've it by being given the panels for nothing. The panels aren't massively expensive anyway. The real money is in the batteries, charging systems, switch over systems, and what have you. So the plan is hopefully next year we'll get all of that set up and working, and rather than have the electric feed back into the mains, we'll feed it into a charging system. So we'll charge a bank of batteries, and the brewery will run off of that. We're going to have chillers running, chillers running 24/7 to maintain the temperature of the fermenters. So we should be able to create a electrical system that will power those, with a system that will allow the electric to switch over to the main supply if the batteries go below a certain percentage. So, but that's a project for another time. So yeah, at the moment, we're just going to get these cables all connected up. Unfortunately, none of these cables were long enough to reach where they need to go. So like these cables here need to go all the way to the end of the container. So I've just been down to pick up some junction boxes that I'm going to stick in place today. So I'm going to extend these cables and get all of that done. So all of this power, hopefully the power supply will be ready to be wired up by the electrician into the main fuse board that we've got here by the end of the week. Fingers crossed. And then we just going to need, I will do the plumbing and drainage from the pub, a couple of days worth of work tops, and then we can give it all a clean down and actually get some bloody beer on the go. One other thing that I will go into quickly just before I get off is with the Maxi 210 chiller that we got from Delphic as part of the deal for the kit. I was playing around with this last week just to see what sort of temperature I could get the water down to when the outside of the shipping container was so hot. So quite pleased with actually how it's performed. I started off by just running it as it is on a separate loop, on a loop of about a meter's worth of pipe, just to see what sort of temperature it would get down to on a small circuit, and it only got down to about 4 degrees. I then ran it on it's running now actually into, so I've got it now running there into the fermenter, crappy lagging, just sort of like bunged on it just to see if it was going to help recover any of that heat or dissipate that heat any quicker. I found basically there's no thermostatic control on this 210. It has a thermostat on it, which I'm guessing it'll have a low limit on it, which seems to be around 4 degrees. It would only get to 4 degrees. So what I did, Elliot dropped off before he went off on his travels, dropped off one of these Inkbird thermostats, which can go into 0 temperatures. So I have bridged out the existing thermostat here. None of this is live, by the way, don't worry, I'm just poking my hand around, I have to pop that back in. So this is the thermostat is here bridged out. So and then the thermostat I just had sat in the water of the chiller there just to see. It's unfortunately not long enough to be able to reach into the back of the fermenter, but basically the good news is that when it was about 36 degrees within the shipping container, water down to about 2.5. I think it was about 2.6 degrees. So the theory being that obviously we're not going to be constantly up against 30 or 40 degree heat in the shipping container. We're probably going to have like a month of that a year, and if that means we have to interrupt the brew schedule just because we know it's going to be baking hot, then so be it. But honestly, I think either I'm going to try running a glycol solution through that chiller under normal operating conditions like we've got today. It's probably about 21 degrees in here, if that, today. So I just want to see if adding glycol to it and then sending the thermostat into sub-zero temperatures, if I can get the water, the glycol solution down to a lower temperature. If I can get it sub-zero, then we very well may be able to use that for our dual-purpose vessel. So basically, so we can cold crash down at 0 degrees. It's not obviously being having a low limit temperature of 4 degrees at the moment's okay for most things, for some things, but for like the big hazy boys that we want to do, we are going to have to get that temperature a bit lower. So that's another thing that I've been playing around with. So that's about it where I am with the brewery at the moment. Electric's done this week. Plumbing, I'll make a start on that the week after. So definitely by the end of August, the brewery is going to be a place where it can be operational, and then we'll just have to make sure we've ticked and crossed all of the boxes and everything else, just to double make sure we've got everything, and then we can finally start making some beers, because that's what everyone wants, really. And anyway, that's enough for now. I've been banging on for ages. Go and have a beer. That's what I'm about to do, and I will see you soon.